Do you believe that you are free? Society would have us believe that we are free, as we are punished for our bad actions and praised for our good ones. Today we will briefly be discussing what it might actually mean to be free and iron out some of the arguments within the question itself. To start, let's use the example of parking your car. Suppose it's a really busy day and you see one free space. You park the car perfectly, however, at the last minute you decide to try and squeeze in one last bit, and you just bump the car behind you. In this scenario, it is easy to blame the driver. After all, you chose to try to squeeze the car in a little closer at the last minute. There was a moment when both options were genuinely available to you. Stick with where you are, or reverse a little further. You really could have done either, and you chose to reverse, so it was your free choice, and you are to blame. You should take responsibility for denting the car behind you. In that moment, when you squeezed the car in one last bit, was that really a free action? Could you have done otherwise? To show how this may be disputed, let's take a look at an argument against free will. What if somebody could prove to you that you really couldn't have done anything else? In that case, it would seem you had no choice at all. The argument from determinism starts with the claim that everything that happens in the whole universe is causally fixed by the events of the past and through the laws of physics. Like dominoes falling is an example of determinism in action. Imagine a car rolling into a lamppost due to parking brake failure, or for some other mechanical reason. We know why the car hit the lamppost because its brake failed, and we know why the brake failure led to the car rolling down the hill. We know why hitting the lamppost caused a dent in the car's bumper. We can understand how each event led inevitably to the next, by the laws of physics, and there is no one to blame. Now go back to the parking incident. You might think that in this case, you were to blame for the dent in the car. But maybe there's no real difference between what happens. Maybe you aren't really to blame, as determinism would have us believe. After all, in order to decide to reverse the car a little more, something would have had to have happened in your brain. And what happens in your brain is fixed through the events of the past and the laws of physics just as much as anything else in the universe. If the argument from determinism is right, then every decision we make is fixed by what takes place in the past and in accordance with the laws of physics. And so our actions are no different in kind from any other physical events in the universe. But that would seem to mean that when we think we have a choice, when we think that we could have done otherwise, we are wrong. And that would seem to mean that we never act freely, and so cannot be blamed for anything. The argument from determinism threatens our understanding of ourselves as free agents, but that could be the wrong conclusion to draw. For even if every one of our choices is determined, we might still make a distinction between free and unfree actions, and so maintain a sense of freedom, compatible with the truths of determinism. Let's go back to the example of parking your car, but this time suppose that instead of choosing to reverse a little more, someone has a gun to your head and orders you to reverse a little more. Even if determinism is true and what happens is fixed by the past, there seems to be a big difference between you deciding to reverse a little more and somebody forcing you to at gunpoint. There's a different cause for your actions in this scenario, yet it is going against your will. The value of this compatible idea allows us to still hold moral responsibility for our actions, whatever they may be, but to still live within the laws of nature, which govern what happens to us and everything around us. What do you think? Do you feel free? Let us know below, and thanks for watching.